When your company owns the most powerful rocket in operation, everybody in the space industry will want to do business with you. This is the situation Elon Musk's SpaceX is in with its Falcon Heavy rocket. However, despite being the most powerful rocket, the Falcon Heavy has been sleeping since 2019 when it last flew. That is about to change though, as SpaceX is tapping on the sleeping giant to perform more than half a dozen launches. What are the launch missions about, and can SpaceX pull off such a busy launch schedule? Join us as we explore how SpaceX is finally launching its new Falcon Heavy. SpaceX might be hugging the headlines recently due to the Starship rocket it is building. The fixation on the new rocket is understandable because it will break many space travel records when finished. The Starship will be the tallest and most powerful and go further than most other rockets in deep space. However, while development continues on that rocket, SpaceX still lays claim to the most powerful rocket in operation. That is the Falcon Heavy. SpaceX has the Falcon 9, which is basically its workhorse as it has been launching payloads at breakneck speed. But it has nothing on the Falcon Heavy in terms of performance. SpaceX claims Falcon Heavy is the most powerful operational rocket in the world by a factor of 2. With the ability to lift into low Earth orbit nearly 64 metric tons or 141,000 pounds, Falcon Heavy can lift more than twice the payload of the next closest operational vehicle, the Delta IV Heavy. The Falcon Heavy is imposing, standing 70 meters tall and more than 12 meters wide. It weighs about 1.5 million kilograms or more than 3 million pounds. It can lift 26,700 kilograms to geostationary transfer orbit. Interestingly, if anything goes wrong with the Starship development, SpaceX can fall back on the Falcon Heavy for the trips to Mars, although it will only handle payloads of 16,800 kilograms. The Falcon Heavy is designed as a 2-stage launch rocket. 3 cores make up the first stage of Falcon Heavy. The side cores, or boosters, are connected on the nose cone, the interstage, and on the octaweb. Shortly after liftoff, the center core engines are throttled down. After the side cores separate, the center core engines throttle back up to full thrust. Falcon Heavy's first stage incorporates 27 Merlin engines across 3 aluminium-lithium alloy rocket cores containing liquid oxygen and rocket-grade kerosene RP-1 propellant. Falcon Heavy generates more than 5 million pounds of thrust at liftoff, equal to approximately 18 747 aircraft. The Falcon Heavy first stage is equipped with 12 landing legs, 4 on each booster made of state-of-the-art carbon fiber with aluminium honeycomb. All 12 landing legs are stowed along the side of each booster until just prior to landing. The interstage of the Falcon Heavy is a composite structure that connects the center core on the first and second stages and holds the release and separation system. Falcon Heavy is also equipped with 12 hypersonic grid fins, 4 on each booster, positioned at the base of the interstage or nose cone, which orients by moving the center of pressure during re-entry. The second stage of the Falcon Heavy is based on the Falcon 9's proven design and is the part that actually delivers the payload to orbit after the separation of the 2 stages. It has only 1 Merlin engine and produces 981 kilonewtons of thrust. The payload is contained in a fairing that is 13.1 meters tall and 5.2 meters wide, allowing it to launch payloads that other rockets find too big. The Falcon Heavy follows SpaceX's reusability philosophy to reduce the cost of launches. Historically, rockets are flown once and allowed to burn up on re-entry. However, SpaceX recovers the boosters of the Falcon Heavy and even the fairings so they could be used for another launch. This reusability makes economic sense because compared to airlines, the Falcon 9 costs about the same as a new plane. A plane flies many times, helping to lower airfare significantly. Musk wants mission launches using the Falcon Heavy to have similar economics. As powerful as the Falcon Heavy is, though, it has not been flying for years on end. The last flight of the rocket, its third one ever, was in June 2019. However, this lack of activity was no fault of SpaceX. The US Air Force, which has since been renamed Space Force, contracted a SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket in February 2019 to launch the USSF-44, carrying a classified payload for roughly $150 million in the fiscal year 2021. No earlier than the 4th quarter of 2020. However, the USSF-44 launch gradually slipped without explanation to Q2 2021, at which point SpaceX had fully qualified and delivered all 3 new Falcon Heavy boosters and an expendable upper stage for the mission. After 2 more slips to July and October 2021, the US military official finally offered the first hint of an explanation for what now amounted to a full year of delays, explaining the USS F-44 had been pushed into Q4 to accommodate payload readiness. This basically means the company or companies developing the payload could not finish the job on time. Because of these delays, Falcon Heavy will now have a jam-packed 2022. If there are no further delays, SpaceX has 4 major Falcon Heavy missions in its laps. They are the USS F-44, USS F-52, Viasat-3, and NASA's Psyche probe. The Psyche probe is scheduled to launch by August, with 3 planned in the first half of 2022. The Psyche mission is designed to explore an asteroid that is believed to be mostly composed of metal. A 5th mission, the USS F-67, is scheduled to launch in the 4th quarter of 2022 and on another Falcon Heavy rocket. The USS F-44 is among the most demanding of all the scheduled missions because it will be SpaceX's first direct launch to geostationary orbit, or GEO, the same for the US military. It will see the Falcon upper stage traveling for about 6 hours through and inside 2 radiation belts before reigniting for a circularization burn about 35,800 kilometers or 22,300 miles above Earth's surface. However, if the military delays again, it might end up being the second GEO launch because the Viasat launch, a rideshare, will put payloads directly in GEO in the 2nd quarter of 2022. The USS F-67 is another GEO launch and will also require SpaceX to sacrifice the center core of the Falcon Heavy lower stage. All these launches are slated for the Kennedy Space Center LC-39A pad, where SpaceX is scheduled to launch at least 6 crew and cargo Dragon missions between February and October. SpaceX will have to move as fast as possible to prepare the launch pad for the next one after each mission. SpaceX, however, has a more prestigious mission from NASA that will launch on the Falcon Heavy in 2024. It is the Europa Clipper mission. NASA originally wanted to launch Europa Clipper on its own SLS rocket, but has changed its mind and has now given the contract to SpaceX. The Falcon Heavy will launch the Europa Clipper spacecraft on its way to Jupiter. In terms of sheer prestige, no other mission on Falcon Heavy's manifest comes close. The spacecraft is expected to weigh around 6 tons or 13,000 pounds and is about the size of a building. The Clipper will orbit Jupiter for years, performing dozens of flybys of the planet's icy moons, several of which are suspected of having liquid oceans. The Clipper is the most expensive NASA mission in development after the James Webb Space Telescope. The former had overshot its initial $2 billion budget, will now cost more than $4.5 billion, just like the James Webb Space Telescope that has NASA in the hole for almost $10 billion. Giving the launch contract to SpaceX means NASA is fully trusting Musk's company with what could become the most expensive mission to the outer solar system in the history of planetary exploration. What makes it all the more noteworthy is that NASA has already given the okay for SpaceX to plan to launch Europa Clipper on a Falcon Heavy rocket with at least 2 of its 3 boosters already flight-proven. According to mission scientist Bob Pappalardo, SpaceX intends to reuse 2 Falcon Heavy side boosters that are currently scheduled to debut as early as next year on the Psyche mission. However, unlike the Psyche mission, which will leave plenty of margin for SpaceX to recover at least 2 of Falcon Heavy's 3 boosters, Europa Clipper will need almost every ounce of performance the rocket can give to send the much larger spacecraft much faster and further. Barring a major surprise, that means that Falcon Heavy will launch Europa Clipper in a fully expendable configuration. The loss of all 3 boosters of the Falcon Heavy, which normally could fly about 10 times, will be more bearable to SpaceX because it will be reusing 2 boosters on the Europa Clipper mission. Also, for NASA to agree to send one of its most important missions on used boosters shows the agency is convinced that flight-proven hardware is actually better. And, at the risk of saying the obvious, it also means NASA accepts that SpaceX knows what it is doing. Let's hear what you think of the Falcon Heavy flying again in the comments section below.